spirit of reconciliation, I acknowledge the traditional custodians of country throughout Australia and their connections to land, sea and community. I pay my respects to their elders, past and present, and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Island peoples today. Welcome to Totally Lit, the podcast celebrating reading, writing and creating literature. This episode I have the marvellous Kirsten Hunter to join me. Kirsten is a clinical psychologist with too much energy. She is a proud mother of 5 boys. She runs her own private psychology practice with enthusiasm and is the author of 6-book DIY psychology series, Signposts for Living, and the author of a series of 4 child psychology books. Kirsten is soon to launch her debut fiction novel, Murder at the Narcissus Gardening Club, in May 2024, which is this month. It's the first of a series of 6 crime fiction books. The second book, Mystery of Placid House, is coming out hot on its heels in August 2024. Kirsten is a native Queenslander. She's just at Toowoomba, and her beautiful husband John and their boys love to get outside and hike either through the mountain area where they live or along the coastline, and they like a spot of scuba diving as a real treat as well. I hope you enjoy my chat with Kirsten. Kirsten Hunter, thank you so much for joining me today and being on Totally Lit.
Absolute pleasure. Excited to be here.
And now I have a copy of Murder at the Narcissus Gardening Club that you have put out, which is part of the Margot Gray crime series. So this is book number 1. Would you like to share a little bit about it with me?
Yes, it's the first book in the Margot Gray series, Murder at the Narcissus Gardening Club, and there's 6 books in the series, and the second book is coming out in August called Mystery of Placid House. And yeah, I've kind of got them all lined up, ready to go. So they're going to come out in close succession.
Very exciting. So this one has Narcissus in the name, and I noticed that the next one has Placid in it. Now, you're a practicing psychologist. Do you embed some of your experience into your novels?
There's no doubt they're incredibly psychological with regard to, what's explored, the different characters, the different plots, human nature generally. And I grew up with, good old Agatha Christie.
Yes.
Various crime books. And I think my brain just works with puzzles. It's, as a psychologist, you sit across from the client and it's all about working out the puzzle of the individual. So writing books and enjoying creating, puzzle mysteries, murder mysteries, it's just really fun for me. So yeah, this first book definitely has got a slant towards exploring narcissism, and in a light and a dark way at the same time, which might sound a bit peculiar, because in truth, there's patterns with narcissism, and when you really sit back, they're quite ridiculous. And so there's a bit of humour with regard to how ridiculous the behaviour can be, but it's also tapping into the dark shadow of these sorts of characters. And I enjoyed it very much.
So would you say these fall into those cosy murder mysteries? Is that the way you would describe it? Is it in that genre?
Yes, definitely I would. They're quite personal, quite intricate. They're very character driven books for sure. Yeah, cozy murder mystery fiction, and also puzzle mystery. I love the term puzzle mystery. Yeah, definitely.
So there's 6 in the series. Are they interconnected or are they separate, just standalone stories?
Well, they can be read separately, but they are definitely intertwined. So we've got Margot Gray as the protagonist, and she's someone who I created just because she's someone who I'd want to spend time with. Mm-hmm. She's far from perfect, a messy character, but she just dances to her own beat, and she's got a great passion for life and quite infuriating character as well.
So she's not perfect.
No. She's messy. She's very, very messy. Yeah, and it's quite funny. People have said, is she me? Because I'm a psychologist as well, but she's nothing like me at all. I would not buy a red car. She would only buy a red car.
Right. So she's the anti you?
No, quite that extreme. Not quite that extreme. But no, she's just someone who lights up the room and infuriates the room at the same time. Yeah, and she's got a sidekick, her dear friend, who's also a work colleague, William Tarlington, and he's the opposite. He's tightly wound, goes by the rules, anxious, and I like him because he gets to talk about he comes across as all very, because he's a policeman, all very official and capable and strong, but he's absolutely a crumbling mess underneath, and I really enjoy that, exploring that. So the two of them have got this dance between each other, and they counter each other beautifully. So those two characters run through the 6 books, and there are other characters that interweave that basically the reader gets to revisit,
right.
Someone that they've previously kind of perhaps become fond of. And, but they do stand alone separately, and they're very different books, completely different books.
And have you buried any red herrings in your book like Agatha Christie does?
Yes, well and truly. Yeah, I think that's quite an art form,
yes.
and enjoyable. Yeah, lots of avenues that are not quite where you want to end up. Yeah.
And can you take me back to when did you decide to sit down and write your first murder mystery?
You know what? I think that I've had quite a turbulent life, and when life started to get on track for me, my creativity just was like that tidal wave of enthusiasm. And I love writing, I really do. It's my recreation, it's my recharge. And so I, about 7 years ago, came up with these 6 books all in close succession, and wrote like mad. And so I've then continued to obviously be refining a lot of them, and so they've all been with me for about 7 years, and I really enjoy them. One book I wrote in 2 weeks after having a hysterectomy.
Wow.
Yeah, I had a hysterectomy, and I'm in bed going, yes, I've got time.
Finally have some time.
Yeah, I literally wore off the letters on my keyboard.
Now I'm going to use the word formulaic, in that are your books modelled on previous detective stories where it follows a certain expectation that a reader would sit down and as you're writing them, are you following a certain you want to hit certain beats in your book and things like that, or do they have different directions?
Well, they're all very different. I think that I've always got the mindset of making sure that we're getting to a point of crisis, and that we're thinking that it's all going to be resolved, and then another crisis comes and another crisis. So I quite like that kind of momentum.
Yeah.
With the formula, but no, I actually really like how they're very different, and no, I wouldn't say that we're following close formula. I think that when you do a lot of reading, though, it shapes you, and I don't think you can truly reinvent the wheel. So,
no. Well, I think we all readers understand what a story arc is,
yes.
in terms of, we know that there's a beginning, a middle, and an end, but then there are books like classic Agatha Christie novels where they are kind of have a set formula. So I guess when I'm saying formulaic, it's not meaning that it's not a challenge, because it is still quite a challenge to put those books together. But you do know that if you pick up certain books, it's going to follow a certain direction. And I'm wondering how much of that you've incorporated in your writing, or whether you're
well, I would say that there is the reveal at the end of the book. In that way, there's the parallel for sure. Yes, in that way there is. Yeah.
And did you sit down and start writing these, or did you do like any writing courses or anything like that in advance, or did you just use your study that you've already done?
I write all the time for work.
Yep.
And I know that's a completely different genre, but it's about psychology all the time. The amount of reports I've written would be in the thousands. So I think that it was taking the writing that I do in the non-fiction world and just finally been able to release it into the fiction world. So no, I haven't done formal training per se, not at all, just a hell of a lot of reading. But no, it's interesting. And of course, I think I've done a lot of informal education just through reading about writing.
Yes.
If that makes sense. Yeah, because I like reading. So if I'm going to learn something, I'm going to learn through reading about writing. So I'm self-educated in that way. Does that make sense?
Yes. So number 1 is out and number 2 is on its way. Do you have a bit of a plan looking forward about how often the books will be released?
Well, my goal is to then have 2 released this year and then to have 1 per year. That's my goal.
Yep.
So the 3rd book is completely written. I'm currently writing the 4th book, and the 5th book and the 6th book is all structured and formatted with a lot of work already put into them. And ironically, it's the 6th book that I'm particularly excited to write. So it spurs me on nicely, I think. Yeah.
Do you know the ending yet, or is it still coming to you?
Have you heard about writing? You can either be the architect or the gardener. Have you heard about that?
I haven't heard it in those terms, but I do know there are like plotters and pantsers. So I'm much more of a pantser than a plotter.
Oh,
but
well,
I only write short things.
Right. Well, I'm absolutely an architect. I know where I'm going, what's coming at what point. I've done all of that structured kind of creative framework. But then as I'm writing, then I get to be really free with, adding and taking different avenues as well. So, I really do know the detail of all the books, even the core characters that are required. And
Oh, I love that. I would love to be at that point. Now, I wanted to ask you, your book is self-published, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. Yes.
So how have you found the process of the so you've written the book, but then there's another side where you're actually having to deal with what sort of print it's going to be and how you did you do everything yourself, or did you look at like having an editor to edit for you and those sort of things?
I love this topic. So I've worked with 2 editors on Murder at the Narcissus Gardening Club, and then I've been I really enjoy working with the editor because it's that fresh brain and you get to throw it around, and I really enjoy the editing process. I love when you get back the next draft with different feedback and then you get to go again. I really enjoy that. So this book has been edited so many times I cannot tell you, like ridiculous. And I really enjoy book covers, and
I really like your book cover, by the way.
Yeah, I care about detail. I'm a very detail-oriented person. So there's a artist called Zach Lowry. He's an international artist, and he did this book cover for me. And he's done the book covers for all 6 books.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah. So self-publishing, I like that I can pick the editor that I enjoy working with. I can pick the cover and really get a piece of art. I think art should be, used functionally and, put across the different mediums. So I love that it's got very meaningful artwork on the front. And with Independent Ink, we've got Anne there, and she's just been a dream to work with. And she's all about educating me, giving me the choices. And I found it a really enjoyable process. And I like that you then end up with a product that truly represents you.
Yes.
And it's exactly what I want, and I'm very happy with that. So, and of course there's trial and error. I think you have a cover. I think you have one of the books which is an error. I've since
really? Okay.
The back cover, for example, made the writing much larger, made it black. Made it visually, so each step is a learning process, but I really enjoy that. So I like not knowing what I'm doing, and I like learning. So I maybe I'm a control freak, maybe, but I've enjoyed it very much, and now I feel really comfortable with the next lot of books as well. But I've also published 6 non-fiction psychology books, so
you've had a bit of a grounding already.
Correct, yeah, and 4 other children's psychology books, the Squish series. So that's Signpost for Living, the Squish series. So yeah, having already published 10 books, it gives you a good sense of the system and the process. But it's different with fiction. A lot more fun with fiction, a lot more challenging.
And did you have a launch for this book when you released it?
This has been launched on the 10th of May.
The 10th of May, so it's still coming. So everybody needs to book in.
10th of May. And we're having a launch party, and where I work, I've got an atrium with a glass ceiling and beautiful.
Oh, that sounds perfect.
Yeah, so it's going to be all candle lit, and it's all a murder mystery theme, and everyone's getting dressed up when they walk through the door, and it's all just going to be lots of silliness. It's going to be great.
That sounds super fun. And is that going to be in Toowoomba?
Yes, so anyone's welcome. So if you jump on Kirsten Hunter Author on Facebook or Instagram, you'll see all the invitations there, Kirsten Hunter Author. But also, in Toowoomba, if you look me up, Kirsten Hunter Psychologist, you'll see me there as well. Yeah, come along in Toowoomba.
A murder mystery. And is there going to be a murderer present?
I hadn't thought of that. You'll have to give me some clues. That's a pretty good idea, actually. We could have a Cluedo night.
That would be super fun. We like Clue the movie here, so we love a good murder mystery at my place. So would you like to tell me a little bit about your children's books as well?
Yeah, sure. So they're called the Squish series, and they've got a little character called Squish on there. And basically he goes and grapples through issues that I see day in, day out with my child clients. So one of them is called My Thoughts Are Trash and Trash or Treasure. Mm-hmm. So all about learning to look at your thoughts and work out if they're rational or not, which is such a great skill that adults often don't have, let alone children. One's called You Are Gold. So this concept of how gold is all different shapes and can change, but it's valuable, just inherent value. I'm an outsider, which is about realizing that everyone's an outsider, really. Yes. And can I think of the last one? Oh, Grit, superhero. So the whole
like that.
Of developing grit.
Yes.
And that, it's all the hard times that actually make us a superhero. So, embrace that. And they're going really well. The Squish books are going really well. And the children love them. And I've got they come in and they buy one and they come in and they get the next one. And
oh, that's cute. They're the best judge. I have a picture book out, and this morning I was at a bookshop and I had a little reader come along who had come all the way from the other side of Brisbane to the event because she was so excited to find me at a bookshop, which was very cute. But they're just the best judge of whether the book is good fun to read or not. So
they're telling me I need to write another one.
In demand, that's good.
Yeah, they're saying, when's the next Squish book? I'm a bit distracted right now. But, and also, again, I was involved with the illustrations. So the illustrations are from a gorgeous lady called Emma Mormon, and she has autism. And so she's just this incredible gem that I could gently work with to unlock to get her to do the artwork. She's incredible. She's an incredible artist.
Was she local to Toowoomba as well?
Yes, she now lives in Romania.
Oh, there you go.
That could be a barrier. No, she says she's in for the next Squish book. She was from Toowoomba. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, good fun.
We have so much local talent up here in Queensland. It's amazing.
And Zach Larry, the artist, he's all over. He does international work, but he's based in Toowoomba as well.
How funny.
I know this is Zach. Every time he has an exhibit, when they advertise the exhibit's going to come on, they get sold before they even hit the exhibit.
Oh wow, that's a good sign.
That's Zach Larry, yeah, and he's very shy and he doesn't like getting his work out there. So if you can catch it, grab it. But I got to grab it on commission.
Well done. I look forward to seeing the rest of your covers, because I do. I like the blue against the red maroon. It looks nice. I think because it reminds me of that. It does take you back to that classic, those detective novels from yesteryear as well. So.
I always think of the Agatha Christie covers, and they're so iconic. aren't they? Yeah, I love that. And the title, by the way, Murder at the Narcissus Gardening Club. The narcissus on the cover there is the Narcissus daffodil.
Oh, is that there's the Black Narcissus? Is that it was a movie
I
from
don't
many years ago?
look that up.
Yeah.
Yes. This is the Narcissus daffodil,
Mm.
and then it comes down, and you can see the skull down the bottom. And
Oh, I didn't notice that. That's
yeah,
excellent artwork.
yeah. So the concept of there's this beautiful flower that looks so gorgeous, but it's got such a dark name, and there's so many layers to that because, of course, people with narcissism present with superficial charm, but they're actually,
Yes.
hiding their true selves behind closed doors. So, and there's also a story to why it's called the Narcissus Gardening Club in the book as well. I'm about to record the audiobook. I started a couple of days ago, and there's a character in there called Babcia. She's a main character, and she's a Polish lady, and she's terrifying, quite terrifying. And I've got a Polish lady to come and do the voice.
Oh, I was about to say, are you doing the voices yourself?
Hell no, that would be terrible. No, I'm doing the rest of the book, but I've got Babcia to come in and actually, well, her name's Eva, but to come in and do Babcia's voice. And even talking on the phone when she told me she didn't have phone credit because she was over in England, that was scary for me. Like, she's a scary sounding lady. So she's going to be perfect. I can't wait. Yeah.
And how have you found the process starting the audiobook yourself? Have you enjoyed doing that?
Yeah, there's a fellow down in Melbourne called Dave Stokes, and I worked with him recording the books for the 6 non-fiction books, Signpost Living, which look through psychology areas. So I already have done the audiobook for those 6 books. So, that was a long process doing 6 books, truly. So now I've only got 1 to do. It feels easy. But,
so you're an old hand. So you've been using all of your past experience to bring to this fiction series now.
Yeah, but all along, what I have truly wanted to do is write fiction. I wrote the psychology books because I felt this incredible drive and obligation to put that information out there. Yeah. It was 205 different psychology areas across the 6 books. But, fiction is my passion, no question. Yeah.
And how do you fit your writing in around your practice?
Well, I do work long hours. I'm here at work, and I was here at 7:30 this morning, and I just finished at 7 p.m. and here we are, so that's a big day. They're not always that big, but no. So nighttime, basically, I will go in and just put my head down and get into it, and it's more a case of having to put myself to bed.
Right. You've got to stop writing.
Yeah, so I'll either go and I'll keep writing through the nights because I'm enjoying myself, or I'll have very sensible nights and I'll wake up at 4:30 a.m. and write in the morning. So I'll either do morning batch or nighttime batch depending on what's happening. I also have 5 children, so
sorry everybody, because I've been whinging today about I feel like I haven't got enough time, but I only have 2 children. So.
Well, I've got 5 boys, and the 3 big ones are big, but the 2 little ones are little, and so, a lot of it's about creativity once they've gone to bed. Basically, I can't write when they're awake.
So it's fitting it into the cracks of life.
Yes, and not watching TV. If I watch TV, I get hooked and then I lose time. So I try really hard not to watch TV, basically.
So being disciplined as well, because I often use TV as a way to decompress. But it is a time suck as well. So if you do get invested in a series or you want to binge something, it does take away from your writing time. Although I have written things that have been inspired by things I've watched, so I try to justify it in my head.
Yeah. I think that because I just can't wait to get back into the writing. So it's more a case of when can I get to my candy shop. It's, so it is, I think it's self-discipline when you've got to do the boring, monotonous things.
Yes.
But with writing, like, for example, I'm currently going pretty nuts because I'm so busy with all this other, logistical stuff. I can't wait to get into writing the 4th book. I really am busting. The third book's called The San Sebastian Passenger, and the fourth one's called April. So I've already written The San Sebastian Passenger, but I'm not letting myself read it until I finish writing April. So it's a good incentive.
So do you do any reading? Do you do any, I guess, reading of other novels to get a feel of what you want to write yourself?
No, I just read for pleasure.
Yep.
I just read for pleasure. I've always got, most people, I've usually got about 5 books on the go.
Yes.
Pick up what I'm in the mood for. Yeah.
Do you read mysteries, or do you have a certain genre that you prefer?
Well, when I was a child, I read Jeffrey Archer and lots of Agatha Christie and lots of various books. I was frustrated by the books my friends were reading. They were reading, I don't know, high school stuff. I can't even remember what it was called. Babysitter's Club, sort of thing. You know what I mean? But I actually have just started rereading Agatha Christie's now as an adult, and that's what I've been reading over the last, 5, 6, 7 years, 8 years, 9 years, something like that. I've just been methodically reading through them, and so that's been really nice. So you could say I'm having a massive Agatha Christie binge at the moment.
There are so many to read. She was so productive.
She is, isn't she?
I'm a big fan of Agatha Christie, not only for her writing, but I love the way that she had a major comeback in her personal life. So she went through crisis and she got divorced, and then she went off and found herself a handsome archaeologist and just lived her best life with him. And I was like, that is, the best story of a comeback when you have, because so many of us these days go through, we have our initial relationship and then we have to start again. And, I was like, go Agatha, I love it.
Yeah, absolutely. And also the fact that in her time, for a woman to be travelling on her own was absolutely unheard of. So, she was such a pioneer. And apparently she was the first female to go surfing in Australia.
That's amazing.
Apparently.
Amazing.
Don't know if you should quote me on that. Apparently. But no, I loved, so she was clearly a very adventurous spirit.
Yeah. And so smart as well, because she incorporated so many clever techniques in her writing, and even from her early days when she was working as a nurse, and all those pharmaceutical ideas that she brought in to kill off all of her characters.
Yeah, the knowledge of poison. Absolutely, absolutely. And also, I love that she didn't receive formal education.
No. Back in the day when she would have just learnt how to be a lady.
Yeah, and also that she was a very shy person.
Yes.
So, she wasn't doing this for attention. She was doing it for sheer, passion and enjoyment. I love that.
And I think there was an element too, there was a point in her life where she was churning out those books because she had to support herself as well. And there's a lot of grit in that, I think, that and she was using her talent, but, not everybody can just write all of those books and then be supporting themselves. And especially in those days, women weren't really writers in the way that they are now. So to me, I'm like, she was amazing.
Absolutely. No, she was amazing. And it was interesting that my understanding is that she wrote Blue Train just after her divorce and she needed that money. And that's the book she says that's the worst book.
Maybe didn't have all of her passion in it if she was just trying to get it out to.
But she did the job.
Bring some money in.
Yeah. But I really, when I read Agatha Christie now as an adult, it's kind of different, obviously, from when I was a child. And I get frustrated. I love Agatha Christie, right? So this is no disrespect, but I get frustrated by the point where she taps into psychological themes, but then it stops. Yes. It doesn't go deeper, doesn't it? So for me, that's my passion. I love going into it and really exploring that. Not too much, obviously. I don't want to overwhelm people, but that's what I really enjoy.
Do you think that maybe would have been because psychology was still in its early days?
Oh, yeah.
Then? Yeah, so there might not have been as much. She may not have just had the knowledge around it.
Oh, definitely. Well, she wasn't a psychologist.
Yeah.
But, yeah, no, psychology back then was Sigmund Freud and Jung, and they didn't really have a lot of knowledge remotely. No, and no, absolute credit to her that she actually had the profound depth of knowledge she did have in regard to different characters. It's quite extraordinary. Yeah, I guess I'm just saying I just love taking it that much further.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I guess too, once you've experienced narcissists as well in your work, you get a much more profound understanding of them as well. And I think it's easy for us to just throw around the word, oh, that person's a narcissist. But there is actually a psychological criteria that for what a real narcissist is as well. So.
Yeah, yeah. And, I often divide people into three groups. Those people who are Bambis and they know nothing about narcissism and they think everyone out there is just, typical and might make mistakes, but they don't have this sort of malicious intent. Then there's those people who are currently dealing with people with narcissism and they're, in the storm, in the eye of the storm, and they don't know which way is up and they're traumatized. And then there's those who have come through and they've survived and they are very skilled and aware and, they might have some scar tissue, but they wouldn't take it back. I'm really interested for this book. Those three groups reading this book are going to take this book completely differently,
Yep.
And that's fascinating to me as well. I can't wait to talk to people afterwards and to hear what they think. Yeah.
Amazing. And so now that you've got your book out, how are you distributing it? Are you reaching out to, I guess, are you putting it on Amazon? Where are you selling your book?
Yes. So it's on, I think we've actually launched it already because it's been entered hang on, let me find out exactly the language. It's just gotten the Australian Book Lover, I don't know if it's an Australian Book Lover list. It's on that at the moment. So we thought, oh gosh, we better quickly launch it then.
Okay.
Because yeah. So I think on Friday we quickly put it online because it's on the Australian Book Lover list. So we thought, oh gosh, better make it available. So it is actually available before it's launched. Yeah, so it's on Amazon, it's on Booktopia, it's on all of the online sources. And I've got, I don't know if it's a big number, but I've got about 14,000 followers online. So yeah, so I can kind of get that out there as well,
done.
And go from there. And hopefully people, the narcissistic component to it gets people intrigued to reach for it. So, that's my hope as well, to get it out there.
That's pretty impressive, that following that you have, because it's hard work these days to
yeah,
grow,
I'm not into social media at all. It's just
work.
I do podcasts every week. On psychology themes, special guests, and we call them quick chats, and so I love talking about all different areas. So that's called Signposts for Living with Dr. Kirsten Hunter. That's on podcasts everywhere. And yeah, I think that the books, Signposts for Living, the psychology books have done really well, and there's just so much information on psychology that's relatable and people can reach for. So that's how the following has really jumped in. So I'm bringing fiction into my non-fiction following base. So, tough luck, people. That's what's coming.
And if people would like to listen to your podcast, is that on Apple and Spotify and all the usual places?
Absolutely. Yep. And it's Signposts for Living with Dr. Kirsten Hunter.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So I'll just ask a quick writing question to wrap up. If you had any advice for other writers who would like to write their own mystery and self-publish, is there something that one tip that you could share with everyone?
Yes, I would say work really, really, really hard just to get the first draft out.
Yep.
Don't overthink it. Just get the first draft out so that you've got something to work with, because the process of editing is much more doable for your morale, whereas if you're trying to make it perfect on the first draft, you're going to just probably lose momentum and not finish that book. So I think get the first draft out, throw it against the wall, would definitely be my suggestion, and also to try to create a routine with writing time so that you get in and you methodically work on the book so that you get it out. Yeah. Also, I think it's really nice not to know how hard it's going to be.
I think, I think part of us know that how hard it's going to be, which is what stops us, but also that imposter syndrome where we want to be perfect straight away. And I think it is much better to get something on your laptop, on paper, so you've got something and you can say, this is the book, now let's make it work. So even if it isn't great the first time, that's what the art is.
Yeah, and you're right. Everyone does have imposter syndrome, and they think, "Oh, I can't do this." Just don't overthink it. Stop thinking. Just write. Just get it out, and go from there. Yeah, definitely.
I'm definitely going to find your podcast and jump on your socials as well and follow you. I'm intrigued by your launch now, so I'll have to look at that. And
we'll be putting lots of footage of it on social media so you can see it. Or come to Toowoomba. It's only an hour and a half. Yeah, I'm from Brisbane originally, by the way.
Oh, okay. So how long have you been in Toowoomba for now?
20 years, a while. Yeah. I moved up here, came up the hill. Yeah.
I've been in Brisbane 12 years now, and before that I was in Sydney. And I do like the quieter life.
Yes.
So I don't know if I might like another quieter life again, but we'll see.
Oh, that's just wonderful. Yeah.
But thank you so much for joining me today. I'll definitely share with all of our listeners when your launch is and where they can find your book. And thank you for sharing some of your insights and experience with
the
series.
Do a free giveaway?
Yes, I have a copy to give away. So if I'll get everyone to email me at totallylitpodcast@gmail.com and give me 25 words on what sort of murder mystery you would write, and I will select someone to win a copy.
That sounds wonderful. That sounds great. Thank you so much.
Amazing. Thank you. Totally Lit is an independent podcast. You can help support us to continue to chat with wonderful Australian creatives by leaving a review on iTunes or sharing our socials with your friends. You can also make a contribution at www.buymeacoffee.com/totallylit. This helps with equipment and podcasting platform fees, etc. I love to interact with our listeners, so feel free to say hello either by email or social media. You can email me at totallylitpodcast@gmail.com, or you can find me on Facebook, Insta, LinkedIn and Twitter. I've also recently created a group on Facebook called the Totally Lit Writing Community. It's a space to continue the conversation and share your writing successes, events, launches and latest projects. Jump into the group and say hello. Thank you for listening to Totally Lit, and don't forget to go out into the world to read, write, create, ignite.